Okay, so we are very exciting evening because Baruch Hashem we're starting a new gate, the sixth gate, and we see some new faces. So welcome everyone. Hopefully, we'll be able to the more power within the group, the greater the energy, the better. Hopefully, we can appreciate and understand the incredible words of the Chovos Havavos. So. We just finished Shavoros Elokim, and that was a gate that really focused. I'm sorry, Shar Yichud HaMaisa. Sorry about that, Shar Yichud HaMaisa. And Yichud HaMaisa, the Chovos Havavos spent an incredible amount of time really illustrating to us the challenge we have of purifying our actions. The goal is to do service to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in a way that's pure, in a way that's focused, in a way that's sincere. And many, many things come in the way. And he articulated every single possible angle of argumentation that the Yetzer Hara would make for us and to us to be able to dissuade us, discourage us, sidetrack us, distort us. And he always would explain to us how we should answer the Yetzer Hara. So again, like any valuable learning, Chazar is critical. It would really behoove all of us, as often as we can, to go over this incredible sefer, to be able to really have these concepts at our fingertips. Because unfortunately, we learn it once and we never look at it again. Until years later, it begins to become very elusive. So right after Shar Yichud HaMaisa, now he explains why it is that he chose Shar Achniya. You might start wondering, what's the connection between humility, this sort of humble feeling that he's going to be talking about, and the concept of Yichud HaMaisa. Why? Because everything is sequential. Everything has a very specific logic to it. So Amar Mechaber, I'm going to be reading from the bottom of the Leif Tov. If anybody wants to get this particular edition of the Chovos Havavos to follow inside, but I do translate everything. And we do have some more svarim if people want to look inside. So Amar Mechaber.
Might not be the same page.
Shara Shishi Shara Hakniya. Okay, so Amram Mechaber, the author says as follows: Hayil be'arnu b'shar hakaydim es achayvil chavim b'avoros Hashem l'shem l'kim levadai. After I explained in the earlier gate that one's obligation in service to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is to focus on HaKadosh Baruch Hu uniquely. And this is, I just had a very interesting conversation today with the 11th grade girls about this very concept that there's humanism out there. And there's a lot of times that we do things because it makes us feel good. We just like to do it. It just, it feels right. And, it seems, what's wrong with that? It feels good. And I really wanted to do that chesed. I wanted to help out that family. I wanted to go to that hospital. It just felt that it was the right thing to do. I'm not chas v'shalom putting that down at all, but those types of feelings and those types of motivations lack something very critical from a Jewish point of view, because none of those feelings have anything to do with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I felt good about it. I wanted to do it. I was motivated to, make the difference, and we did. And it would have made such a difference in the level of the action if we would have incorporated that this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to do. That this is a mitzvah for me to be able to accomplish this. And it's something that when we are doing something because it allows us to become closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and further emulate HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then we've totally elevated the act to a totally different level. And humanism will only take you so far. When you do things out of a focus of it's the Ratzon Hashem, it's the will of God, that's a whole different level. And there are many proofs to this. It's really not for now, but it's a very important idea that Yichud HaMaisa allows us to take things that we maybe would do otherwise, but it elevates it to a completely different level, and we're doing it because HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded us to do it. So, umikivan shemikol advarim hama'abdim me'adam kavana zu. And since from all the things that detract and sidetrack a person from focusing in this direction, There are many things that can get in the way of having us do things. Either we don't do it, or we do it for the wrong reasons, and we do it half-baked. There are many things that can get in the way. But he says, of all of the things that in any way deprive a person from the proper thought process, the one that will get in the way the quickest, the one that can detract us and deter us more than anything else, he gave us Adam al shu'ovas Hashem L'Shem Shemayim. You hear the irony? Incredible. The number one deterrent and the quickest deterrent to our ability to stay focused, to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the right reasons and have the right intentions when we do mitzvot, is the feeling of haughtiness that comes about when we start doing things properly. Very interesting. The very fact that we're starting to do things properly, if we're not careful, what can happen is, look at me. I'm feeling pretty good about myself. We look in the mirror, we give ourselves a big pat on the back, and we start feeling, a little smug, and a little confident, and a little self-absorbed, and as such, we start feeling that it's now, there it goes, it's about me again. And I have this sort of haughty feeling that, look how much better I am than I didn't see anybody else there. I was the only one who did that mitzvah. Everyone else is doing this and doing that, but I'm the one who did that act, and therefore you're now elevating yourself over other people, looking sort of down in a condescending view of other people, and that is an immediate negation of the proper focus. Because if you've got this kind of attitude about why you do things and how you do things, then you're not focused in the right direction. So I had to, says the Chovos HaLevavos, bring in Hachnoah at this particular point. Shar HaKniya is because this is the number one issue that you have to deal with to make sure you don't fall back and lose all of the things you just accomplished in Yichud HaMaaseh. That's like, it's incredible irony, and the truth of the matter is, it's actually a pasuk. Umi midbar matana, umatana bamos. I believe that's the order. It's a pasuk in the Chukas. Umi bamos hagai, and if you look at the commentaries there, so God gives. If you make yourself like a midbar, if you completely humble, umi midbar matana, you get a gift. What's the gift? The gift of Torah. Because Torah is gifted to people who are very humble. Umatana bamos, there's an achliel there too. Umatana achliel bamos. I'm not sure the exact order, but basically becomes an inheritance for you. And then bamos, you elevate yourself to a very high stature. But be careful, because bamos hagai. You can go from the highest level, and if you're not careful, boom. That haughtiness can get hold of you, and that can bring you right back down to the valley. And you started with humility, and you elevated yourself up to a very high level, very high peak of spiritual performance. But because you're just a little bit slacked off and just sort of relaxed, boom. Okay, haughtiness can get in, and there you go back. You're back to the bottom of the valley, and you got to start all over again. I guess that's the beauty. It's just you can just keep. You could get started again. It's never a reason to give up hope, but it's a shame if we fall back the way we sometimes could. Therefore, and since the negative effect of this gaiva, what it causes a person in their avodas Hashem is very great. It is an incredibly negative circumstance, and that's why again it's we talk about gaiva a lot, and we talk about performance, and we want our kids to do well, and we have all this competitive juices flowing in school. And did we ever really stop and think, where does the anava fit into the picture? And all of the things that we use sometimes as motivational tools for our children. Oh, you didn't get the highest grade? You got a 99, that's great, but there were 3 boys with a higher grade? How come? What's the deal? So we're almost training our kids to have this need to be the best and to be superior. And that's, where's that coming from? And there's, again, a lot to talk about. I don't want to get sidetracked, but it is definitely a big issue. Humility is a very big issue. Therefore, I saw fit, of all the things that I've got to do, because I've got a lot of work to do. I'm not done yet. We've got a whole sefer to read, and he's got a whole sefer to write at this point. So how did he decide, what am I going to write? How do I figure out what to do? I've got a lot of choices. He says, therefore I saw fit, Kimikol advarim shalai lasis, of all the things that I have to do on my to-do list, okay, on the Chavos Havavos' bucket list, so to speak. Hadavar nochutz b'yosu, the most pressing, the most important, lahasmich l'shar hakodem, to connect to the earlier gate, as ber hadavar hamarchik modem gai vizu. Let me explain what's going to keep a person far away from this gaiva. I've got to get gaiva out of my system. I cannot allow haughtiness to creep into my life. And what is that medicine? What's the antidote to that haughtiness? Vuhachna, humility. Being humble, being low is a word that does come up, but I just don't like that word because it connotes other types of emotions which are not as healthy. But at the end of the day, low spirited or meek, or they're just it's hard. In English, you don't have necessarily the right translations, but certainly it's rooted not in a lack of recognition of who you are, but rather an appreciation for how much we have to accomplish and how we relate to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So he'll explain as we move along. But that's why it's so important, because all of Yichud HaMaisa could be almost immediately lost by you reaching that feeling of, wow, I've made it, and because I've made it, now we sort of pat ourselves in the back, and we cannot allow the gaiva to get it. It's just too damaging for that to happen. Therefore, he chose, of all of the possible follow-up gates, he chose the particular gate of humility. And again, if there are things along the way, there are new people in the shir, we are open to questions, and if anybody has an idea or a thought or a question or a comment, please contribute.
That's why we want to do so many mitzvahs, always on a quiet side, without showing that we're doing or doing it in the public, so everybody see what you've been doing or seeing your results. Or in case I don't know how they do with schools, like I don't know if they praise the kids that they got the highest in front of the whole class.
Of course. And again, I've mentioned many times over the years, Rav Matisyahu Solomon, when he spoke in LA, he made the point that he followed, when he was in England, he followed the Mishnayos Baal Peh contest winners. These are the 12 and 13-year-old kids who have genius minds, who can remember and memorize thousands of Mishnayos by heart, and they would make tremendous Malva Malchus honoring these kids, putting them up on stage and making a tremendous to-do. And he said, I made a mental note, he said, to follow them. What's going to happen with these kids? You'd imagine these are the future leaders of Klal Yisrael. These are the minds. At 12 or 13, they're so immersed in learning. They know all these Mishnayos by heart. You'd imagine these are the future stars. So let's see what happens. And he said almost all of them amounted to nothing. And he says, and he spoke to all Mechanchim. There were a couple hundred people in the room when he spoke. And he said, and we can debate the reason, but in his humble opinion, he said, my feeling is it was a haughtiness. Because you put a kid on that kind of stage and give him that kind of cover at 13 years old, he walks in and tell him that he's going to be, who knows what, in Klal Yisrael at that young age. He walks into 9th grade, he says, and he starts asking himself, so wait a minute, I'm going to be a Rosh Yeshiva, he's only a 9th grade Rebbe. So why am I giving him all this, kavod? I'm better than him. Because look at my mind and look at him, and he's only a 9th grade Rebbe, and all these kind of thoughts. And the minute and again, that was his opinion, and that he says once you're poisoned with that kind of haughtiness, it's almost like kryptonite to Torah. Torah, it repels, or I should say, haughtiness repels Torah. So it doesn't work. You can have a brilliant mind, you might know a lot of things, but true development, to be a true Talmid Chacham, requires humility. If you don't have the humility, that's why I said, I remember one comment which stuck with me all the years. Different Baruch Hashem, a lot of people said a lot of nice things about the school, but I remember one person who had that insight, and his son right now is doing unbelievable things, writing Sfarim and major Mabitz Torah, giving out Torah, disseminating to thousands of Jews, every Shabbos, every Erev Shabbos, Torah. He's a big Talmid Chacham in New York. And remember he said, after he graduated, he says, thank you for making my son an Anov, for making my son humble. That's and like whoa, like that's it. Like that was, first of all, you can't. I don't think you can give the school a big compliment. Okay, that we contributed to that level, to that perspective, and that a parent should perceive that and see that as a virtue, and to talk about that, it was the blow away comment. So it's critical.
But don't you also need a Shminit of Gava?
Okay, yes, but we'll get to that 100%. But that's a Shmini. That's a little bit, but not to be off a bit a Baal Gaiva. That is that's not what we want to go. So let's go to the next paragraph. Umitam nosif alaylazos, and it's important for me to do this for another reason. So number one, it's a big deterrent to what I just spoke about. But there's another reason why I feel compelled to write about Anova. Because it's clear to us that in addition, and granted that the humility is a foundational principle of serving God. That's what he wants to say. In addition to the fact that it affects avodas elokim and yichud hamaisa and the purity of our actions, it is just a general foundational principle of service to God. And through humility, one can move away from this feeling of lordship or superiority. And to get to the level where one can articulate that these virtuous qualities, the high level qualities that we really take pride in or want to emulate, are only truly found in God. Just to God Himself. Not to creations. We are not capable of obviously in any way matching the virtues of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And when we're humble, we see that. We're not enamored with ourselves and sort of pat ourselves in the back and talk about ourselves. We're able to develop an honest relationship with our Kadosh Baruch Hu to see the differences between us. As David HaMelech articulated the words that are quoted in Divrei Yomim. These are words that we're familiar with in the davening. To you, Hashem, is a greatness and gvura and power, to Pharaoh's glory, netzach, eternity, ahod, beauty, kichol b'shamayim v'aretz. Because your presence, of course, is covers the heavens and the earth, and it's that kind of articulation that comes from not just nice words. I mean, we can all write. It's some better or some worse. We can write poetry, but this is not coming from a poetic license. This is coming from a sense of clarity of who David HaMelech was and how we understood HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And his greatness was to understand HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You can't understand him when you're self-absorbed. It's a famous comment about Gaiva that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, there's not enough room for me and you in the world together. To the extent that you want to make yourself the center of the universe, I have no problem with that. I'll just move myself someplace else. So the two can't coexist. There's HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and then there's the Yonav. They can coexist, but the Baal Gaiva pushes HaKadosh Baruch Hu away. Kamosh Amr Od, and also as furthermore it says in Tilim, Ki mi bashachak yarach Hashem, who in the heavens can evaluate HaKadosh Baruch Hu and be equal to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yidim Hashem b'vnei Elim, who can be similar to HaKadosh Baruch Hu amongst the angels and amongst the heavenly bodies. Nothing, of course, can compare to Hashem. And there's another dimension of humility which is very, very important. So through humility, one can come to a tremendous recognition of God. But there's another dimension. Shimachika me'odam es his ravravus, which is again an expression of type of self-absorption. Es his nasus, lordship. Again, sort of being that big shot. Es go valev, this elevated heart. Es his parus, sort of showing off. Historius, again, type of being an official, being like a big shot, using your position of authority to lord over people. But a shifa limshol al kulam, and one's natural desire, if not checked, to lord over all of the things that a person could get connected to. There are people, and we see it. If a person doesn't work on themselves on a regular basis, the more power they get, right, the more power they want. And we know the expression absolute power corrupts absolutely. So the more a person is in a position of leadership, the more they have to work on this concept of not becoming overly absorbed with one own's honor. And to constantly want things that are above my range of what's really given to me, right? This is all keeping up with the Joneses and looking at what other people have and saying, how come I don't have it? And all the things that can easily happen if we're not focused. So again, this is a third component, that the number one check to sort of losing sight of the real focus and to somehow start moving in a direction of being absorbed in materialism and in your own position in life and your own ability to sort of dominate other people. This is it. It's hachna. So we've got to supplant all of these potential dangerous types of emotions with the proper emotion of hachna, umidos domos me'anfi agayv, and all types of other midos that are similar to this haughtiness. A lot of branches that come out of this. So basically, it's a tremendous 3 different components. It's necessary to make sure we don't allow our accomplishments in Yucha Maisa to allow us to fall into an area of sort of feeling proud of ourselves, and we just don't want to lose all that we accomplished. It focuses us in the best way possible in continuing the goals of service to God, because humility is a foundational principle of all of that which is good. And finally, as we go through life, there are so many different types of situations that can come up where we can get trapped in this area of covet. I've said also many times that, people who are involved, and very often these daises of where people are going to sit, I've had people comment to me, cynically, that you wouldn't believe how much questioning and infighting and competition. It's sad. It's sad. Obviously not by everybody, and obviously these are the wonderful people. There's so many wonderful people that don't care. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of people who do, and these are things that maybe we should be caring less about instead of more about. Okay, so now that he established why he chose this particular direction right after Shar Yichra Maisa, but it says the Chovos HaLevavos in the next paragraph, V'aleinu levar ata binyan hachno asar dvarim. So my goal is to lay out in the future weeks as we go through this gate 10 things. So there are going to be 10 agenda items that we will hopefully, obviously not get to all tonight, but hopefully we'll start tonight. But we're going to get to 10 aspects. What are the 10 aspects that he feels he needs to explain? Number 1, mahi achna. Number 1, what is achna? What is true humility? How do you define it? Beis, l'kama chalakim hinechlekes. How many different areas can it be divided into? Gimel, aidei ma ba adam lidei achna. What will bring a person to this humility? What places do you use it, and what places maybe you don't? Exactly what are the guidelines of when it's important, when it's not. How do we ultimately attain it? Okay, I guess maybe we'll see when we get to 3 and 5 the differences, but just in terms of the language, maybe what are the prerequisites to get tachna, and exactly how does one attain it to its fullest extent is 5. 6 is Ketzad al bal achna l'snaheg. How does it look? Let me see what achna looks like. Besides, don't just explain it. Let's see in real life what it really is. Zayin, eich efshel lahakir al adam im yeshu achna olo. How can you tell? Right? The famous statements, when I see it, I know it. Well, how do we know we're looking at somebody humble, and how don't we? Now, maybe it's not important, but he clearly wants to make that point, that how could you tell that somebody has attained this humility and when he has it? Okay, 8, ches, im adam yochalovi de hachno rak im yeshu mikor mishar midos atovos. Okay, interesting philosophical question that he's going to deal with. Can you only reach true humility after you've attained all the other positive virtues? Or is it the opposite? You can only reach the other aspects of wonderful virtues of patience and love and caring and whatever other wonderful things you can think of. Okay, alacrity, and then just general service to mankind. All of the positive virtues. Maybe the other way around. You can't reach those virtues. So which one is it? The chicken or the egg? Which one comes first? Right? Is it you need the virtues to then attain achna, or the achna to attain the virtues? So that should be very interesting, and that's in Perek Ches. That's in the 8th chapter. 9. Olo, can they coexist? Can you find the Baal Gaiva and an Anav within the same individual? Do we have emotions? This is also, again, deep philosophical question, one that, well, let's see what he says, but Chaim Shmulevitz does talk about the ability of different powers and different attributes and good and evil to coexist within a person. Can humility and haughtiness coexist within a person? Is that possible? And we get.
Are you talking about at the same time, or could it be like you have a weak moment and you become haughty, but you're usually not?
Sounds like
or when you have to be haughty, there's reasons sometimes you need to be haughty, and then.
Well, this is why everyone has to come back. Bottom line, we have to come back. Okay, guessing is not going to cut it. And number 10. And number 10, that's we put at the very end, because, okay. And finally, the last one is, Eze to'elis mevia hachna l'nyoni ol mazeh u'olnei ol mabah. What benefits come out of this humility that will help a person both in this world and in the next world? So, what are the ultimate real gains that we can reap from this? Okay, so some prokim are going to be very short, like Perek Aleph. Some are going to be longer. But let's dive in. So we're ready to actually deal with the essence of Achna. And he starts Perek Aleph. Mahi Achna. What is it? So he tells us, Achna hi. Humility is, and I guess it's the best definition. But even that, I guess probably it's the best word we can find in the English language. Let's see. Maybe along the way somebody will come up with a better word. But let's see. What is humility? That the soul of a person be subdued and low. And again, I don't know of a better word. If somebody can come up with a better word, but it's not high. It's not, elevated. There's a certain low tone of a person's feeling about oneself. What does that mean? He shouldn't, or she should not have sort of look at oneself in a sort of high value level. That, look at who I am and look at what I am. And again, there's a lot to say about this, so let's not jump the gun, because this is not to try, as he himself will say, it does not negate who we are and how special we are. The achas v'midos hanefesh is one of the qualities of the soul. It's a spiritual quality, okay? Because you're not going to find humility with cows. It's something that has to come from the neshama innately and developed as such. The kasher achna mishtaresh as benefesh adam. When humility starts truly developing and becoming entrenched within a person and takes root within an individual, nikarim simuneha alevarav. You can tell. When true humility sets in, it'll be recognizable in a physical realm. What does that mean? Tahainu, meaning to say, shumedaber b'loshen raka ubukol nomuch. A person speaks, with soft tone and with a lower voice. There's not always a high-pitched screaming and yelling and drama and, maybe there are times you have to, but, generally speaking, there's a softness, a sweetness, and a low decibel level of a person's communication. Anav b'shas kasai, person stays humble at the time of his anger. A person is able to control one's anger. Okay, ve'ena nokem gam im yesho es yecholos lasazos. And you don't take revenge, even if you can. And somebody really wronged you, you're not interested in taking revenge. It's not something that thrills you and even, speaks to you at all. Okay, and this is, again, something that is a true litmus test, because there are people who plot and wait for years. I'll wait for that moment where I'll finally get even. I'll take revenge. then you're not here. And if that's where you're at and that's where your mind is, then you got to go back a few chapters and work on some other stuff.
Oh wait, that's only if that you need the other things first before you have hachna.
Well, okay, let's see. Okay. Kamosha misapra al melech echad. Okay, like it was said about a certain king. Shapam chota mishu negdo v'schayev bionesh. There was a certain person who did a sin against the king and was obligated, based on the indiscretion, to receive punishment. V'achre shevios hashot kedei lakoso, and they brought the whip and they're ready to start whipping away and give this guy what he deserved. Amle HaMelech, the king says, Chai Hashem. He swears by God's name. Ilo yisi koas alecho kol kach. If I wasn't this angry at you, I would take great revenge. If I wasn't that angry, I would really let you have it. Okay? But vusalachlo. But he let him go. Okay? He told him, okay, why? So, in other words, basically what you deserved was a really serious punishment. That's what you deserve, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let you go. Why? Super, and it's said, Sha'osa melech hizber is as his nagusekach. And the legend is that this king explained why he let this person go. After all, why? You just said he deserved it. You just said he did a terrible thing. And you say he absolutely deserves the punishment, so why not give it to him? But he says something very profound. He explained, Eineni makir avon shehu gadol kokach. I've not yet found an avera that great, ad shebekocho litchos himeni es hanova, that through it would cause my humility to leave me, and to bring me to revenge. And I realized what he was saying is, I recognize if I punish you, I'm not punishing you, I'm taking revenge. And that would make me a vengeful individual, and I can't go there. If I am going to punish my servants and my population who I have to take care of and lord over, it has to be for their sake, the punishment that they deserve, not something that's going to fuel my anger and alleviate my feelings of revenge against you. I don't want to go there, so I can't punish you now. Because if I punish you, it's not going to be and this is a great lesson for teachers and parents and anybody who's in a position of authority. You never punish and you never discipline from a position of anger. If you're really boiling at that point, you hold it off and you wait for a time when the anger is gone, and then you can discipline properly, because it's coming from a bad place. It's not going to have the effect that you want, and it's just going to bring you down in the process, because it's real anger that's at play and not the rational decision of what's appropriate for this particular child at this particular time. So, and we fall into that trap a lot, where we just, that's it, you got to me, and it's explosion time, and now you're going to get it. Now you're going to get it.
That's because basically when we're imposing the punishment, it's like we're stepping in Hashem's place. It's supposed the punishment comes from Hashem. It's whatever throws into that, Hashem will take care of it. It's not us who's supposed to put things on place. Who are we?
Okay, but
the humble part, no?
Okay, true. What you're saying is true. I guess his point is that there are times that maybe we do have a right to, certainly a king would have a right to impose punishment. Generally speaking, it's not our domain. But even if it would be our domain, we have to make sure that it doesn't do something negative to us. It doesn't bring us down. So, but yes, you're making a very good point. Okay, so that's hachna. Hachna is a sense of a subdued nature, a subdued spirit. Maybe that's a better word than low. It's subdued, not to feel that you're lording over anybody. And it's recognizable in your demeanor, in your tone, in the way you conduct yourself with people. And even when you could take revenge, you choose not to, because revenge is not an attribute that really resonates with a humble person. Okay, so now we're ready for Perek Beis. V'yatavar is chelke achna. And now I'm going to explain the different elements or the different categories of achna and explain them, because I don't want you to fall into the trap of thinking that something that isn't hachna is what I'm referring to. So he's going to talk about 3 different types of hachna. And he says, hachna nechlekes l'shosha chalakim. Humility could be divided into 3 different categories. Chelik echad hi hachna kolelas as b'nei adam v'sugim rabim shel ba'alei chayim. One type of hachna is one that encapsulates a lot of people and many attributes of just living creatures. Very interesting. He sort of combines not just the human, but even Baal Chais. Living creatures have this type of achna that I'm about to describe. And you can right away almost intuitively tell, well, if it's going to be a type of achna that I can find even amongst just living creatures, it can't be very high level achna. It can't be a really good achna and true humility if it's you can find it by everybody, and even you can find it about Baal Chai. So what is the type of achna he's referring to here? Shagdarasihi, its guideline and its essence is as follows. He gets a little poetic over here. Ozlas yad v'regesh nechisus shel hanefesh. It is sort of the low-spirited lack of any type of self-recognition of the soul. It's pretty much sort of a complete negation of who you are. That what results from this type of an attitude and a perspective of oneself is that things that are coming at you, that are damaging to you, you don't have the ability, you don't have the energy, you don't have the confidence to avoid things that are damaging to you. It's almost like you're waiting, almost like a punching bag. Just whatever you do to me, there's no fight. There's no strength. There's just no knowledge of how to escape that which is coming at me. Okay, there's no. I mean, I guess when I was looking at this before, it sort of struck me. Again, none of us know, none of us can imagine. What a concentration camp was like. But there's certainly people who have spoken and written about the topic, have said that, one of the big differences between the people who survived, and again, this is not a judge, it's not a judgment in character, but just, you're living in an absolute Gehenna. There are people who just sort of lost that will, and almost like, whatever you do to me, there was just no fight there anymore. And there are people almost naturally, now that's due to extenuating circumstances, but picture a person who had just so little feelings of self-worth that there's just no fight in general. They're just schlepping through life without any feelings of being able to accomplish, any feelings of, and they're just constantly almost just, whatever happens, never feeling that I could change my surroundings by what's coming at me based on my own initiative. Okay, so that, there is certainly that's a low-spirited individual. So is that humility? He's going to explain absolutely not. That's not the humility we're talking about. That's somebody who just doesn't have it. That's, I don't know, again, these are, try to find the right word to describe this type of state of emotion, but there's really no drive and no feelings of self-worth. So hachno misug zeh mitzui etz b'nei adam ksilim v'yamei oretz. This type of humility is found amongst fools and ignorant people. This is not coming from a sense of intelligence and understanding of what I am and how I have to look at myself and feel about myself. This is coming from a point of I'm a nothing, and whatever different maybe, you see people sometimes, they suffer sometimes from, illnesses or depressions, or, maybe you might associate this type of mentality with some of the homeless, where there's almost like, there's nothing there. They're just almost existing. And it's very, very sad. But that's not humility. That's not what we're talking about over here.
That's despair, no?
What?
Like a despair, like a giving up?
Yeah, to some degree, yes. Okay, but why is it only found by fools, he says? Because they never spent any time focusing and recognizing properly their strength, their power, and their value of their soul. I mean, right? We just finished Bereshis, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu reminded us, more than once in Bereshis and again in Noach that we have Tzelem Elokim. Okay, we have been infused with the Spirit of God. So the last place we have a right to go is, I'm nothing. There's no point. Whatever happens, I don't look to avoid any situations. I just bring it on. I'm just going to take it. What is that? That's not a sense of understanding of clarity. Vinikras hachna, and the only reason why it's called hachna in people's vernacular, they borrow this terminology, but it's a wrong terminology. But in reality, it is not hachna. Let us not make the mistake of identifying this as true humility. It is a complete sense of just giving up and of being forlorn, despair, whatever words you want to use, of a person who just simply has no fight and has no clarity. And it's a type of blindness that's caused by a foolishness of not understanding who they are and what they can accomplish. So that prevents this person from miliros is mashulu tovasa. He does not or she does not look and see what is for my best interest. Let me pursue it. Let me go after it. There needs to be energy. There needs to be a drive. We need to feel that we have to accomplish. The minute we start, taking this mentality, we're going to accomplish nothing. And this is a foolish approach. Kamo shenemar, as it says, a pasuk in Eov, ki libam tzafantam misachel, I hid their hearts from wisdom, therefore they were never uplifted. So when we don't have the clarity up here to know who we are and to be infused with that sense of importance and accomplishment, then we will never be raised up. We will never be able to really go anywhere. Let's just do the next paragraph, then we'll have to pick it up. But true hachna only comes after a person is elevated and recognizes who they are. Has to know that they're special. Has to recognize that they're Tzelem Elokim. Has to know that they have this complete exaltation over the animal world, and we were given this Tzelem Elokim, which is translated as the ability to speak, the ability to articulate, and we're not like animals. We're not going to buy into this whole Darwinian thing, that we just we're a quirk in the evolutionary chain. That's not who we are. And once we've elevated ourselves from comparing ourselves to the lowest of people and to people who just don't have any quality, any true qualities, and this comes because of the wisdom that we have, that we've learned, we've studied, we've analyzed, we've been educated as to who we really are and how special we really are. And that I recognize my nefesh more